This one is going to be very emotional. This is a film that when I watched it when I was a kid, I got really upset watching because it devastated me. This film was made 40 years ago, and still now, when I watch it, and I have watched it recently, I do get a little bit of the old, like, teary-eyed, little goosebumpy feeling when I watch this movie. But I've watched this movie so many times, especially as a child. I watched it and watched it and watched it. Still had that feeling, and as I sort of grew up, as a teenager, I'd go back to it for nostalgic feelings. And then as we moved into sort of like me becoming a parent, I'd show my kids this movie. Even though it traumatized me, I wanted to traumatize my children too. But it meant more to me because it happened in my lifetime, in sort of like in the span when I was enjoying this thing. So what we're going to talk about today, if you haven't worked out already, is the 1986 movie Transformers the movie. This is the animated movie that came out after the successful cartoon show. And oh my god, this movie did damage to a whole generation of young boys. Because this was one of the biggest cartoons at the time. This, He-Man, Thundercats, Mask, they were all massively successful cartoons. But this one was possibly like above some of the other ones. And it's like become famous for it, especially now, because they obviously brought out newer movies now. So obviously it resonated so much. So Transformers is a cartoon about robots that can turn into vehicles, which is great because when you've got the toys, you've got both a car and you've got a robot at the same time, which is brilliant. Genius idea. So these robots turn into vehicles, and you've got the good guys, the bad guys. You've got the Autobots, which are the good guys, and they're sort of like all the hero types. And then you've got the Decepticons, which are the baddies. And they're warring over the planet Cybertron, and this war happens to spill out onto our Earth. So that's where the cartoon comes in. The movie starts about 25 years after the events of the cartoon, when the Decepticons have won the Cybertronian war, kind of. They kind of got control of Cybertron, but the Autobots are still trying to fight back, trying to gain control of it again. And we've got sort of like this war sort of going on. And unbeknownst to any of the Transformers or any of the people in it, there is a monster planet called Unicron on its way to Cybertron to destroy it. And this planet literally goes around eating other planets. It's kind of like Galactus in a way. So if you ever see the Fantastic Four, Galactus is this being that goes around devouring planets. Unicron's very much similar to that. And it's voiced by a very famous actor in Orson Welles. And the voice is so booming and deep, it can send a shiver down your spine when he talks. But anyway, so this planet's on the way. So our Autobots and that, they're still trying to deal with their own war. And we get this massive attack on the base on Earth from the Decepticons, which I'll get to in a minute, does so much damage. And then the Decepticons sort of like go away, and then Unicron finds a few of them, and then we find out what Unicron wants to sort of help the Decepticons to try and get what he thinks is the only thing that can destroy him, which happens to be the Autobot Matrix of Leadership, which is this like thing that the leader Autobot will house in his chest. That's kind of like all of their past history sort of like merged into this like diamond thing. It's in this container, and it's inside Optimus Prime's chest because like he's the leader. And it gets passed on. It's like almost like wearing a crown, I suppose. You get past this leadership thing. And in their Autobot lore, it's that one day that a young Autobot will rise from the ranks and use the power of this matrix of leadership to light their darkest hour. That's like a prophecy. And that's the thing about this film. There's a lot about destiny and prophecy in this movie, which is mad when you think this is a film for children, sort of 8 and 9 year olds. But there is so much story in this movie, it's ridiculous. So that's generally the gist of the movie, that they basically, we know that this monster planet, it seems to be scared of the matrix of leadership, which is currently in Prime. So that's the story. So we go back to why this movie did. So we're going to talk now about why this movie devastated me as a child, the actual what happened in kind of a bit of detail. Then we'll talk about the rest of the movie and how good, bad, etc. it is. So the reason this movie hurt me so much as a child is because they literally, it's kind of like Game of Thrones. It's literally like Game of Thrones. You know how you watch Game of Thrones, you think, I really like that character. That character's really good. And then they get murdered in a horrific way. You're like, you're left traumatised by it. That's what Transformers was. So the whole cartoon show you've been watching for a couple of years now, and you love characters like Ironhide, Wheeljack, Jazz, all these cool characters that you've fallen in love with, and you like have got the action figures with, and you're driving around and you're transforming them, you're battling, and they're your heroes. Megatron, in the beginning of this movie, finds out that he can hijack one of the Autobot transport ships to park it into the Earth base, and then he can sort of like a Trojan horse escape from that. That's his plan. So we see him with a little crew of his like Decepticons attack this ship, blast a hole through it, go in the ship, and then we think it's going to be like your normal Transformers. It'll be like bang, 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 bang. No one dies. It's all going to be good lights or thing. No, no, no. They start shooting at the Autobots and murdering them. Like you see Ironhide get shot and go down. There's like fire and stuff coming out of him. I think it's Ratchet that literally, when they shoot him, he bursts into flames. You see his face up close, and you see fire come out of his eyes and mouth. He literally incinerates, like, in front of you. Like, this is like, he's here, fire and stuff coming out of your mouth on the screen. You're like, and as a kid, you're like, oh, what's going on? And you see another one taken down, another one taken down. And they kill every Autobot on there. And there's this really gripping scene where Megatron's like, we now have control. We'll go down and we're going to destroy Autobot City on Earth, sort of thing. And Ironhide sort of like crawls the hero style and grabs hold of Megatron's foot. He's like, no. And Megatron just holds his gun down, Ironhide's face, and just goes, and blows him away. And you're like, and you're sitting there as a child like, what's just happened? And realising that these characters, like Ironhide was great. He's like, damn, Prime, what are we going to do? He's like that proper like character. And he was great in the cartoon show. One of the main characters, like proper always at the front of it all. Murdered. Just murdered in front of your screen. And you're like, oh my God. Like, and then sort of the Decepticons go down to Earth. And you get sort of like the newer guys like Hot Rod and that. And they see the ship coming. And Hot Rod manages to see that the Decepticons are on the ship, and he starts firing. So he kind of stops the Decepticons' Trojan horse plan from going ahead. But then the Decepticons come out and start fighting back and shooting and attacking the city from the outside. They're sort of attacking the city. And our heroes sort of rushing in. And then you see more horrific stuff because they kill characters kind of off screen, but show you their corpses. They show you their dead corpses on the screen. And you're like, there's a scene where she's dragging one of the characters, I can't remember, I think it might be Huffer or something. She's dragging him in, RC, and lays his body down next to Wheeljack, who was a massive character in the show as well. And you're like, they're dead too. And you're just like, oh my God. I mean, I've written down a list of who dies in this movie. So these are the ones that die in the opening 15 minutes of the movie. Brawn, Prowler, Ratchet, Ironhide, Windcharger, Huffer, and Wheeljack. Straight away in the first 15 minutes, they are dead. And that's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of your favourite characters from the original cartoon show are now murdered in front of you. And you're just like left just looking at these corpses like, what? Oh my God. And then you get like the Decepticon attack still going on. And we've got our newer characters. Because obviously the film wanted to like promote new toy line. Because obviously that's what Transformers was about in the first place, to sell the toys. So they want to promote some new toy line. So you've got like Hot Rod and Cup and RC. And I think, was his name Cliff Jump? I can't remember his name, with the helicopter one. There's like these new ones there. And you're like, right, so they're trying to defend the city. And then you get like Megatron's outside with Starscream and Soundwave and all that. And he's got Devastator with him, which is Destructicons. They form Devastator. They start trashing and breaking their way into the building. And then you've got the Autobot equivalent of Soundwave, I can't remember his name is. He's up top. And he's like, right, we need to call Prime. So they send out a radio signal to Prime for help. Because they know the city's about to fall. Decepticons are destroying them on Earth. They need help. So they send this message off to Prime. They don't know if it's got through or not. And this is what I mean. I love in films when they build up like a hero coming to save the day moment. So you know the Autobots are destroyed. You see Devastator breaks through and they're like, and you see the heroes like, we're about to die. Oh my God. And this is a kids show, remember? The stakes are like, this is a children's show. We've seen people die, corpses on the floor, and now we've got like, they're all about to die in this building. It's very Lord of the Ringsy at this point. Like two towers, like in Helm's Deep bit. And then suddenly you get this like, you see, there's a ship and it's Prime coming down, Optimus Prime with the Dinobots on the ship. And I'm probably going to cry in a minute because this is the bit. Right, so you see the Dinobots and Prime on the ship, and Prime just like, right, Dinobots, get Devastator. Because they're the only ones who sort of take him. So the Dinobots transform, they go down, they start fighting Devastator. And then Prime gets off the thing and he's like, and he does this line, it's like, the guy that does the Prime's voice, I can't remember his name, but he's a legend. He does Prime's voice and it's like, Megatron must be stopped no matter the cost. And as soon as you do that, they hit the best, I call it needle drops, the phrase they use now. And it's the song You've Got the Touch. And it's that song, even now, like build. When I go running, if I play You've Got the Touch, I build up and I start running faster. It's like it's almost like the Rocky theme, you know. It gives you that, ooh, like that want to run. So like Prime then comes down and he transforms, he drives into the Decepticons and he starts smashing all of them, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. Dives up, starts gunning them all down. It's like Prime on his own, he's like turning the tide of the battle. And then you see him face off against Megatron, and they have a brutal fight. Now, you've got to remember, in the cartoon show, you might see him throw a few punches, you might see the old blaster and, like, guns and that. This one, you can see, like, Megatron's got his gun, he's firing it, they're having a fist fight. Megatron pulls out, like, a blade and slices Prime across the stomach, and you see, like, sparks flying out of it, and, like it's like blood, and, like, their version of both sparks flying out of it and cracked. You start to see both of them cracking where they're fighting, like cracks down their faces all over them. They're like proper like damaged up, and they're fighting away. And then Prime sort of beats Megatron down a bit, and Megatron's like, no, like the coward, like backing up like the coward, like the cowardly heel as he is. He's like, oh, he's like, no, Prime, have mercy. And you realise that Megatron can see a gun stashed underneath a rock, and Prime hasn't seen it. So Prime's about to finish him off, and he's like, why should I give you mercy? Oh, I forgot the line. So as they face off, this is so important. As they face off, they drop one of the best lines I'd ever heard in a movie. And Prime basically says, Megatron, one shall stand, one shall fall. And it's so powerfully delivered. This line is fantastic. They used it in the sort of like future live action Michael Bay movies as well. They've used it in computer games. That one shall stand and one shall fall is such an epic line. And then like Megatron's like, that's a question you should be asking yourself. And then it just, and the fight starts. But then, so yeah, so like Megatron's there and he's like, why should I show you mercy? Blah, blah, blah. And he's going to shoot him. And Hot Rod comes running up because he wants to help Prime. He sees the gun, runs in to try and stop Megatron, but Megatron overpowers him and holds him like hostage, and then starts shooting away at Prime like multiple times. Like Prime just gets shot like loads and goes down. Megatron walks over to him. He's about to finish off, and Prime, this last-ditch effort, like double axe handle, smashes like that, hits Megatron in the face, and Megatron falls down this crack and sort of like lays on the floor, like glitching out. And then Hot Rod runs to Prime, and Prime just collapses. And we think, oh no, like, and then you see, then they do this like nasty thing up to me. They could have left it and said, look, Prime dies there, right? No, they're going to hurt you more. So you then see the Decepticons leg it and grab Megatron's like broken body, and they run off because they realise they've lost the fight. Prime has won this one, he's turned the tide. They then ship them all onto this thing, they bugger off, and then you get Prime on a hospital bed, and we're like, he's going to be okay. He's on the bed, they've got him the medical, you see like beep, beep, and they've got this music playing, it's really like weird like atmospheric music, like, and you feel like he's dying as you listen to the music, and he's just like beep, beep, the heart monitor's going, and Prime's like, and you see the guy like looking him over, and he's like, oh, the wounds are fatal. And you're like, as a kid, you tell your mum, like, Mum, what's fatal mean? And Mum's like, means he's going to die. And you're like, no, like, you're wrecked again. And he's like, do not, and he hands over this matrix of leadership. And he's going to give it to Ultra Magnus, which was another soldier robot like he used to be. And he sees him as like his equal, I suppose. He's another soldier that sort of fought and that, so he'll be a good leader. So he goes to hand in the matrix, drops it, and Hot Rod catches it. And this is what I mean, this film is so much about destiny and fate and like how things are written and prophecies. That's what this film's all about. So Hot Rod catches it and the thing starts to glow and thingy, and then he hands it to Ultra Magnus, but as like an adult now watching a movie and knowing about stuff like this, you're like, it doesn't glow when Ultra Magnus gets it, but it glowed when Hot Rod caught it. So you're like, what does that mean? I don't know. But as a child, you're just like, oh well, you don't even notice that as a kid. Like I never noticed it when I was younger, but as I grew up and teens I was watching, I was like, actually, that means something. Like that's clever, putting that in there. This is like clever filmmaking. So then Optimus Prime then lays there, turns black and just goes, ugh, and dies. And you're like, and then you see Daniel, the little kid, to show how we're all feeling at home, like watches or in the cinema watching this. Daniel, the little kid, is bawling his eyes out. And he's like on Prime, like, almost like Elliot and E.T. That's another one that will break your heart when you're a kid. So he's like on top of him, like crying his eyes out, and you know that Prime's dead. And then the Autobots realise they have to sort of like escape because they're all in trouble. They know the Decepticons are going to come back, etc. So they sort of know they've got sort of ready to escape sort of thing. We then find out that like Unicron gets hold of because the Decepticons decide they're going to jettison out all the bodies of the sort of like injured from their ship to make the ship lighter, including Megatron. And Starscream's wanted to get rid of Megatron for ages. He's always wanted to take it over him. Even in the cartoon show, that was an ongoing thing. That Starscream wasn't that much of a fan of Megatron. So he throws Megatron out, but Unicron gets these like half bashed up Decepticons and transforms them into like super versions of themselves. So Megatron becomes Galvatron, who is voiced by Leonard Nimoy, Spock. And he's not doing like a Spock impersonation. He does this gruff, nasty voice for Galvatron, which is fantastic. So now Megatron kind of dies and becomes Galvatron. So you could argue Megatron kind of died as well. And he becomes superpowered, and Unicron's control them. He wants them to lead the Decepticons to get the Matrix of leadership, because that's the only thing he thinks is like, it scares him. And we find out why later. It's the only thing that can destroy him. So we now know that Ultra Magnus has this. So then the Decepticons come down to attack them. They have to escape the Decepticons. And then we kind of get two stories happening at the same time, because we get the two ships go off, and you get like an Armageddon moment here, right? So you get two ships going off, and they're being pursued by the Decepticons, and you've got half the Transformers on one ship, half the Transformers on the other. Much like I said, Armageddon, when they send the two ships up to the asteroid. And then one of them gets destroyed and crashes, but it kind of half gets destroyed, and they sort of manage to jettison themselves out. So we've got Cup Hot Rod on one planet, and then you get Ultra Magnus and that lot on another planet. And obviously the Decepticons are going after Ultra Magnus. And this is the bit that this is the bit of the movie that I think, I know it's a cartoon about transforming robot aliens, but the bit of it that kind of annoys me is that we see Ultra Magnus blown to pieces, like literally explode. Head comes off, arms, legs, shoot everywhere, right? Galvatron destroys him. Yet they can put him back together, and he's okay. I mean, Galvatron then takes the Matrix of leadership when they get hold of Magnus. But they put him back together. Why couldn't they fix Prime? Prime gets bashed up, sliced up, cut up, and he gets fatal wounds. Ultra Magnus gets blown to pieces, but they can fix him and he's okay. I was always like, why is that okay? And then we get Hot Rod and Cup on another planet, and they sort of have the Dinobots with them. And then the whole film is sort of rallying to the big end when Unicron decides he's going to destroy Cybertron. And we all the Transformers sort of go on the little separate adventures, like with weird judges and Sharkticons on one side and that. And all the way through the film, you keep getting notes from Hot Rod, who's played by Judd Nelson, who you know from The Breakfast Club. He was massive at the time in the 80s. St Elmo's Fire, The Breakfast Club. He's in loads, Judd Nelson. And he plays the voice of Hot Rod. And Hot Rod's kind of keeps saying all the way through, I know the Matrix can do something. I know the Matrix can fix this. And that's the one thing. And like Cup's like, well, whatever, lad, it's just a story, like, you know, because he's this old war soldier. And I love the character of Cup, by the way. Cup is a brilliant character. This old veteran war soldier who doesn't take shit like crap from the young ones. Genius. So basically, so now we get this merge where they're all going to try and attack and fight Unicron. So realize this is a worse evil. Even the Decepticons are trying to fight Unicron at this point, but Galvatron's still under his spell and stuff like that. So as our characters get to Unicron, they smash into Unicron, and Hot Rod kind of gets separated from the rest of them. So the rest of them are fighting inside Unicron. There's like, Unicron's got like a defense system inside where they're all trying to fight their way through. And they're trying to rescue some of the Autobots that Unicron had eaten in the previous, when he hit one of Cybertron's moons. He swallowed Bumblebee and Spike. And I was like, oh no, you haven't killed Bumblebee as well, for God's sake. But they hadn't. He was inside Unicron, ready to be devoured inside Unicron's stomach. And our heroes managed to find him, get him down. They saved like Bumblebee, Spike, and a few other ones that we thought were going to die. But they managed to survive. So we're like, whoa, at least some of our heroes are alive. And then we get this whole, as I said, this film is all about destiny, where sort of Hot Rod gets separated from everyone else. He finds Galvatron, and Galvatron still has the Matrix of leadership. He thought he could use it as a bargaining chip to sort of control Unicron, but Unicron's having none of it. And he's like, and so Galvatron's like, look, says to Hot Rod, like, I've tried to open it, I can't, so it's useless. Unicron then says to Galvatron, destroy Hot Rod. So Galvatron starts fighting Hot Rod, and Hot Rod is a smaller Transformer. Like the leaders have not more power. They're like Megatron and Optimus Prime. They were bigger. They had more power and more strength. Hot Rod's a young Transformer, a small one. He's not leadership material sort of thing. But as we know from that prophecy that Prime said, that a young Autobot will rise from the ranks, and this Autobot will defend our, will light our darkest hour. So you've got Hot Rod fighting Galvatron. He's getting his ass kicked, well and truly. And then as he's sort of getting choked out, he's about to die, he grabs hold of the Matrix. And you get that fucking, the needle drop again of You've Got the Touch, which is still one of the best songs ever written. By Stan Bush, I think it is. I've got the CD soundtrack now. Yeah, Stan Bush, who did so many songs in the 80s. If you watch all those martial art films and stuff from the 80s, it's normally him that does the song for it. Like, I think he did the one from Kickboxer. At the end of that, he did the, I think he does Bloodsport. He does, there's loads of ones he does. Like, these big films, like, Stan Bush is like the man for when it comes to like montage songs. And you hear that needle drop, and Hot Rod's standing there with the Matrix, and all the lights go again, like you get that glowing light again, and suddenly he puts his fingers into it and he just pulls it open. Because like no, Ultra Magnus had tried to open it earlier on when he was about to die and he couldn't. Galvatron had tried to open it, as we heard. But he does it. He just opens this thing up and this light comes out. And then you see him like absorb some of the power and he gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you hear Optimus Prime's voice say, "Arise, Rodimus Prime." And you're like, because then Rodimus, he's just bigger than he was before. And then Galvatron runs at him. He just kicks the crap out of Galvatron, throws him through Unicron. And then you see Unicron's like getting destroyed by this light and this energy coming out of the Matrix. And so all of the rest of the cast that are in Unicron are like, we got to get out of here. And they like, zoom through and try and get out of him. So they manage to escape from Unicron. And then you see Unicron explode. And the head flies off and all this sort of stuff. And you're just like, and then you get this like, it sort of ends really quickly because it's that whole thing. So I do like in movies that once the monster's dead, the movie's kind of over. So they do this thing where you see him sort of just standing at Cybertron. And you see, actually, when Rodimus got transformed, he's no longer this flash sort of like futuristic race car anymore with like flames down the side and these weird like exhaust pipes. He's now this like camper van version of that, which kind of always makes me laugh now because it just looks like a big camper van. But he's supposed to be like the truck version of that car. And he gets everyone out and that. And you see him stand at the end and you hear this voiceover say like, that the Transformers going to have many adventures and you may see the return of the greatest Autobot ever, Optimus Prime. But you're like, I want to see him now. And then the theme hits again. And you're left still like, well, Optimus Prime didn't come back. We heard his voice, so he's in the Matrix, which means he's died, he's in the Matrix. But you're like left just like watching it. It's a great film. Like, watching as an adult, you see that story and how much they put into it. All the actors, like voice actors, work their arse off for this thing. They really do a good job on this movie. The art is, I think they took this art, I think they took it to Japan and got the Japanese artists to draw it out. So it's more sort of like anime manga-y looking in a way, but not full on manga. They've sort of like taken the Western cartoon and the Japanese cartoon and merged it and come up with a fantastic version. And I was just like, this is a great film. But as a child, you still want to see Optimus Prime. You want to see Ironhide and Wheeljack and all those characters, but they're all dead. And it's like I say, it's like Game of Thrones, like the Red Wedding. That's bit at the start when you get Megatron burst onto that ship and start executing all your favourites. That's like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. You just don't see it coming. And it's like, oh, they're all dead. And like, oh my God. And then when you get Prime die later on, you're like, but it's like Ned Stark getting off. It's the same as that. It is literally like that emotion that you've built with these characters. You follow them. You're like, oh, I really love these characters. These are great. And now they're all dead. And I'm looking at their dead corpses. And that one's burst into flames. And that one's like died on a hospital bed. You're like, Jesus, what has gone on with this movie? But then you get over it because you're a child. But there were so many movies like that as we were growing up. I mean, like Neverending Story was one of them. Where the horse in Neverending Story that rips your heart out. E.T., I mentioned it earlier. E.T., when you think he's dead, you're like, oh my God. And the scene with the crying and the kid. It devastates you. Like, the movies back then hurt you. They did a few in the 90s. You could say Lion King in the 90s was one that ripped your heart out. I'm trying to think of other films that don't. But, like, at the time, I can't think now. But, you know what I mean? There were these movies that literally ripped your heart out. My Girl. Oh, my God. You know, films that hurt you. And this is one of them. This is in the films that hurt you growing up and left a mark on you. Now, I will say, no matter what, like, this film has one of the greatest soundtracks in the history of movie. This is one of I went out and bought this CD soundtrack as soon as it came out on CD. I know it probably came out on tape back in the day, but I couldn't get them. I remember finding out this was coming out. When did it come out, this CD? I don't even know when the CD came out, but it's just says about 1986 on the back, or not then. But yeah, I went out and bought this CD. I've listened to CD countless times. It's probably scratched a buggery, I'm guessing, because it's been around for years. There are a few scratches. It still manages to play though, which is good. But every song on this album is fantastic. I mean, you've got Stan Bush doing The Touch. The song, but another Stan Bush one, Dare, is actually my ringtone on my mobile phone. It's Dare. Nothing's Gonna Stand Away. When I was wrestling, when I was young, I trained to be a wrestler. I actually used the song Hunger as my theme tune for when I was walking down to the ring because I thought it was great. This CD is I'll tell you what, when I go out running and stuff like that, I don't listen to music anymore, but I used to listen to music when I was running. I used to listen to that soundtrack because I said it built me up. It made me want to run faster. It was like that. It was like songs from like martial art movies, Rocky soundtrack I'd listen to when running because like it just, there's something about the songs that will build you up and make you feel stronger. And that was one of the ones that did it. It used to make you feel good. So that was a classic. But that's the acting in it. I said Leonard Nimoy, Judd Nelson, Orson Welles, and I think what's his name from Monty Python's one little smaller characters as well. And it even has there's a character in it called Blur, who's one of the new Transformers, and he's voiced by a guy that was massive in the 80s who could talk super fast. I think he had a record of talking like, I know I talk fast, you probably noticed on these videos, I do talk fast sometimes, especially when I get excited, I can go at 100 miles an hour. He could do that, like he'd get Shakespeare going, and he'd actually be saying the words, but he'd say it so fast. And the character of Blur in this does the same thing, that's why they hired him to do it. So it's like super fast Transformer that move really fast and would speak really fast as well. And he's great as well. Everything in this is perfect. But that story doesn't belong in a children's movie. But there was a lot of animated movies like that at times. You've got to think of, this is the age when there was like a Care Bears movie where this is a dark one as well. I need to watch this movie again to review it because there's like a Care Bears movie where this kid had this magic book that kind of like possessed him and made him evil. And it's some of the images of this kid holding the book and it was nasty. But like the Care Bears had to fight against him and like use love and compassion to stop this evil witch's book. There was a My Little Pony movie where I remember there was like this muck, this like mud that was like destroying the world and like taking over the world. If it got on you, it did something to you. And that was another quite dark one. And then think of Watership Down. I'm going to be reviewing that in a couple of weeks. I think I'm going to review Watership Down because that's another one that echoes my childhood. But like that was dark as hell. And these are all movies they brought out for children to watch. And there was another one after Watership Down that was done by the same author, Plague Dogs, and that wasn't a nice watch either as a child. So they made these movies when we were kids, like kids movies, but very adult in theme. So I suppose it was the idea was that you could go to watch it with your kids at the cinema and you could get something out of it as well as the adult. But they went a bit too far with it. You don't get it like that anymore. You don't get these really dark movies anymore that are aimed at kids. I think the closest you probably get to is things like the Marvel movies, where they have like the occasional character dying at the dark undertones and that. So it does upset you. That's the closest thing I can think to this. But even that wasn't as traumatic. It's like, imagine if you watched the first Avengers movie and they killed off Iron Man and Thor. That is the equivalent to this. I know they killed off Iron Man later on in the Avengers movies and that. But imagine if you're literally the first Avengers movie. Like, I'm finally going to get to see all my characters together. In the first 5 minutes, Iron Man's dead. Thor's dead. They kill off Hulk. And you're like, oh, what the hell now? And they bring in these new ones. And you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. Same sort of thing, innit? Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of Transformers the movie. Was you infected by it the way I was? Was you affected by it the way I was? What is your favourite 80s cartoon? What one do you think they should have made a movie of? Maybe they didn't. I think they all got one eventually. Thundercats, I don't think ever got a movie though. I don't remember Thundercats getting a movie. But also we've got the He-Man movie coming out soon, which obviously they've made it look more like the cartoon was. Maybe they could do Transformers, because the one thing I didn't like about the Michael Bay stuff and the ones in that franchise, they didn't look enough like our Transformers. They didn't look enough like the Transformers we watched growing up. Like Optimus Prime, they put flames on him. I don't know why. And a lot of the cars look different. Ironhide wasn't red, that sort of thing. I didn't like that. But then when they did Bumblebee movie, they kind of showed you a glimpse of what that could have been. So you see Optimus Prime looking more like that Optimus Prime. You see Bumblebee as the Beetle at one point. You see all the cars rolling down the road, and you see like Jazz and that, and it looked great. And I wish they kept that way. But anyway, again, digress. Yeah, so what did you think of that? Do you think they can make a live action version of that movie? If they made it now, would it look better? Could it look better in like more of a modern animation style with sort of like the 3D modelling sort of stuff? Would that look better? Could they redo it? Did the deaths affect you? Were you happy they killed the characters to make new characters? Did you buy the toys of the new characters? I remember I had a Hot Rod. I don't remember getting any others, but I remember I had a Hot Rod, and that was kind of when I started drifting into Ninja Turtles after that, I think. But yeah, so again, let me know what you think of it. Are you excited about the prospect of another one? And can you believe it's been 40 years since that movie came out? Did you watch it in the cinema? I think I didn't watch it in the cinema. I think I watched it on video when it first came out on video, because so being in England back then, the films would come out in America, a month or so later they come out in England, and then you had to wait like a year for it to come out on video. So I probably watched it more in 1987, but was like excited. I remember having books on tape of it. So you get the storybook with the pictures in it, and you get a cassette tape, and you could listen to them tell the story and the thing. And that's sort of as close as I got to it until I got the VHS from the video shop, and I think I rented it out 20 times until my mum finally bought it for me on VHS, and then I watched it God knows how many times. And then as soon as obviously then VH disappeared, and then grew up a little bit, and then as soon as it came out on DVD for the first time, went out and bought it. In fact, there's a copy of it on DVD right there. Look, that is it, and it comes in steelbook. I went and bought the steelbook. That's how much I loved it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon for more stuff. I am going to do a Watership Down one coming out, and if I can find that Care Bears movie, I might do that one as well. So if you like the 80s cartoony stuff, I'm going to do those at some point soon. I do other movie stuff as well. I've got loads of videos planned this year, and loads of videos sort of like that will sporadically happen when I think about it, or something happens in the world of movies. And you can follow me on Facebook, or you can subscribe on YouTube. All those cost you absolutely nothing. I am monetized, so if you did want to send some money, I'm not going to say no, but if it is, obviously it's all for free, it's all for fun. I do this for fun. Right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all very, very soon. Goodbye, and Autobot.